Again, welcome everybody to Active Rain University. Today we're going to talk about the dirt on farming. We're going to talk about farming, and you've heard from me for the last couple of minutes here, so let me get out of the way. And I'd like to introduce you to Greg McDaniel. Greg is a realtor with Rockcliff Realtors. He's a practicing agent. He still does this thing. We're going to see throughout the course of his presentation today that he's not just teaching this stuff, right? He's living this stuff. Ooh, and I have the wrong, that's not his Twitter handle there. You know, Greg, I tried to find your Twitter handle. Let me introduce you. Greg, how you doing today, my friend?
Bob, I couldn't be more ecstatic if I tried. Are you kidding me? I get to come out here and hang out with you and all these agents across the country who are trying to better themselves. This is a blessing, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart, man.
So I want to I always start this way, like, why spend the next 60 minutes with us, Greg? And I think part of why they're here to learn about farming, but can you give me just a little bit of background on you as a real estate agent, you as somebody who's taught farming techniques to other agents in your market? Like, give me a little bit of background on yourself.
Okay, not a problem. Let's say I started in real estate 14 years ago. This has been a family business. My father has been doing this for over 42 years now in 3 different states. So I heard about real estate, on vacations, on the dinner table, on Saturday afternoons. It's just in my blood. And so I went down to college and I became a complete screw-up. I didn't do well in school at all, and basically my father and my mother dragged me out of there, dragged me back up to Northern California and said, look, you got to get your head screwed on straight. So I started working in a warehouse, and I thought that was a pretty neat job until my father approached me one day and said, hey, Greg, why don't you come work with me? Why don't you do real estate with me? And I said, no, wait, that's what you do for a living. I wanted to go back down to L.A. and become a movie star, right? Like every young kid does. But I interviewed with a lot of my friends, and I said, hey, guys, this is what I'm thinking about doing, getting into real estate. And every one of them, hands down, said, you know what, that is an absolute perfect fit for you. So I got into the business, and I thought I was going to do it just for a little while to make my dad happy. But, 14-plus years later, here I am. I have a burning desire to help people in this industry and to help clients, and this is why. In 2008, I lost everything. I lost both of my homes. I lost both of my cars. The woman that I wanted to marry at the time I was in love with walked away from me. I had absolutely nothing, including the support from my team, because when I was on the team, I was a complete jerk. I fought with my father. I argued with the team. I didn't show up. I came in stinking on Friday night. I wore a belt buckle with a bottle opener on it and flip-flops to meet clients. Come on. You cannot get more unprofessional than what I was. So when I hit that rock bottom, I remember distinctly the evening and where I was. I was in Lafayette, California, in the rental that I was living there, and I was laying there at night, scared to death because I had just found out I only have $35 to my name. And then freaking out, I had no idea how I was going to pay my bills, right? How can you pay your bills with $35? And I realized I had $200 in traveler's checks. So I just made 5 times my money right there. But it didn't help me any further than that night. So I made the decision at that moment to get up, get dressed, and get to work. I put socks on, I put dress shoes on, I put a dress shirt on, and for once in my life, I put a tie on. Then I started door knocking, 6, 7 days a week, 5, 6 hours a day, rain or shine, it didn't matter, because I was going to get back into this business after taking a brief period off, and I was going to make a difference. Terry, my father, and Chris Callahan, my business partner, through their grace, when I came back hat in hand and asked for my job back, they said yes. And since that moment, it has been my sole mission to give back and pay it forward to every agent or person that has reached out and wanted to better their lives. And that is why we're sitting here today.
Awesome. So I think the key, for me anyway, if I was you guys sitting here listening, the key thing is this guy got out and did these things every day, 6, 7 days a week, 5 hours a day. He was out there knocking on doors. He was farming a neighborhood. So today we are going to cover door knocking, and we are going to cover calling into a neighborhood, and we're going to do it with some super in-depth insights from a guy who's done this stuff a lot. Greg, talk to me for a second about goal setting. So somebody says that we're getting started here and we're saying, all right, I want to do this. Like, what are the things that I want to keep in mind? Give me a little idea, give me set a framework for the discussion here today.
Okay, so when it comes to what do you want to get from your farm, you have to identify, what are your goals? I mean, a lot of people say they have goals, but only 1% of America and salespeople actually have written them down. I have mine sitting in front of me, all 9 of them. I see them every single day. So first off, sit down and write out a life plan. What do you want your life to look like? And then you write your business plan around your life plan so that you can live the life you want. Once we've identified that, you need to understand what your why is. Why are you going to get up and door knock, call, set up events, network, go out and show houses, list properties? Why are you going to do this? Mine was when I was dating this very unpleasant young lady, and she told me 3 different times that I did not make enough money for her. Now, it's not money-driven. Why? It's I wanted to be my own man. I wanted to be able to provide a certain lifestyle for myself. If I wanted to go have a nice dinner or something like that, that I could. And so I got out there and I worked, and that's where it comes into your farm. What do you want in your farm? Do you want it to be geo? Do you want it to be your sphere of influence? Do you want it to be a combination? I mean, it is truly what your life wants to look like. So some people are very outgoing and gregarious, and they're going to go out and they're going to talk to every single person on the street. Other people would rather do the calls, or they'd rather work their sphere of influence, their friends, their family, past clients, current clients, all of those. So you need to understand what you want to fit it to your life. Now, what we're going to talk about here today is what works for me. So take notes. Use this as a guideline. Don't use it as verbatim. Use it what works for you, because if it doesn't work for you, you're not going to put it into action. Therefore, it's not going to do you any good.
So the type of farm that's the best fit for me is kind of based on who I am as a person. It's like, for you, are you gregarious? Are you the outgoing type? Or did you like going out and knocking on doors, or did you just make a decision that you were going to do it?
Well, funny story there. When I first got in the business, again, remember, belt buckle, the whole thing, flip-flops. My dad looked at me and goes, yeah, you're not going to be talking to clients for a while, young buck. So what he made me do every day, 5 days a week, 6 hours a day, I went and door knocked. I door knocked a little over 50-some-odd thousand houses in our 2 core markets twice. And I did that for the first full year. So I had to get comfortable with this because I had no other way of getting around it. But I found that door knocking was a fit for me because I like being out there. I mean, come on, what are you going to do? You're going to meet some nice people, you're going to get some sun on your face, you're going to lose some pounds, and you're going to pick up some clients. It's not a bad way to go.
And maybe every once in a while you'll get a door slammed in your face, and we'll talk later about that, right?
Well, we'll talk about that. I got some stories for you on that one.
So when you finding the right farm, and I think a lot of us think of a farm in terms of like geographical. What are some other potential farms that people might be thinking about as we talk about this, more than just like the neighborhood or my city or something like that?
Right, okay. Here are the 3 things that you really need to take into account here. And if you guys got a pen and a piece of paper, write these down. They're not hard. But they're things that people overlook consistently, and they see failure because they don't treat it as a business. So here we go. When you go into a farm, either somewhere you're working or have worked, or a new farm, if you're a newer agent or looking to break into another area, look at the turnover rates. So what is a turnover rate? The turnover rate is this. You take the total amount of homes in an area that you're farming, and you divide it by the number of homes sold in the last 12 months. That will give you the turnover rate. Now, you're traditionally going to see lower turnover rates in higher price markets just because you thin the buyer pool, right? But in the medium and lower price brackets of homes, you're going to see larger turnover rates. If you have a 2, 3, 4%, 5% turnover rate, that is a rock star area. Go after it. If you don't have that, then you're going to spend a lot of time marketing to an area that just is not going to provide the business. So you're going to spin wheels, but you're never going to touch the pavement. So once we identify that, we need to look at the pricing trends. Number 2, which way are these the home prices going? Are they going up? Are they going down? Are they staying flat? So you can kind of gauge a potential of what your market's going to do for you. And number 3, this is really, really an important one. When you've identified a good turnover rate and you've identified what the prices are going to do, we need to look at who's been farming that area, or if anyone is. Because if you're going against Bob and Sue Smith, who have been marketing that territory since the time of, the dawn of time, you're going to have an uphill battle on your hands because they are a household name. What you're truly looking for is something like this. You want to look for an area that has a bunch of onesie, twosie agents that have done a couple of deals here and there, but there's no dominant 1 or 2 agents. Now, as soon as you find this, that is an area you want to get running and start hitting those doors, hitting the calls, setting up the meetings, and getting out there and become that person that everybody's going to know over time. But it's going to be hard work. I want to be really clear with everyone on this call right now. This is not easy, okay? You're going to have to grind it out on the days you don't want to do it, on when you're not feeling 100%, or when you think it's too hot, or when it's raining. I don't care. If you want to make a difference and make a substantial amount of money, you need to go out there and just get it done. A funny story, super quick. My father, Terry, when he started, he was in Boulder, Colorado. Any of you know Boulder, Colorado, it gets a lot of snow. Well, he was a young guy, just got married to my mom, and he had no other income. You know, he had just borrowed $50 from my grandfather, my mom's dad, to go on a honeymoon, so money was tight. So what he did is he went out in the snow and he door knocked. He had big old galoshes on, he had his overcoat on, but when it was snowing, raining, or hot, or windy, or whatever, he was out there, and he became extremely successful very quickly because of the persistence that it takes to work these areas.
By the way, if there's anybody on the call today that knows of a marketing technique that's super easy, please share it with us. Because I mean, that's the reality, Greg, is anything that we do in the industry, right, whether it be a blog for an agent, or whether it be trying to get better SEO, or whether it be door knocking or phone calls or mailers or any of these things, there's a certain amount of consistency and hard work that comes with them to end up successful. So some of the different ways to farm an area, for you guys that are listening, today we're going to go through doors and calls. We might get to pop-bys, okay? The next time that we bring Greg on, and at the end, we're going to have a call for you guys to sign up for an April 11th webinar that we do with him. We're going to go over pop-bys if we don't get to it today. We're going to do mailers, and we're going to do events, right? How to do an event in your farm to generate interest and to get people to know who you are. That will be the next session of what we talk about today, and there's all kinds of ways, right? When Greg and I were setting this up, we kind of figured, you know what, social media, like we might be able to do a whole class on that. So Greg kind of talked about what he does. You know, he's still a practicing agent, but he also helps train agents to farm. And so he's got so much information. He's got stuff on YouTube. I'm going to lead you guys to some of that at some point here in the call. There's a lot of information to be absorbed here. So in this hour, we're going to talk about doors and calls. And so the first thing we're going to talk about is how to do doors. Greg?
Oh, the dreaded doors. Why would I ever go door knocking? God, I hate it when people come to my door. I don't want to be that guy or gal out knocking on doors. Get over it, guys. I got to tell you, it is, as soon as you just get out there and you just breathe and relax and understand. And I'm going to take you through this. I'm going to show you the blueprint of how to do doors and do it successfully and do it consistently. So let's start off. How to do doors. What are you going to wear? What are you going to wear is this. You're going to be out there professional. You're going to dress for your market. So my market up here is a little bit more casual in Northern California. So I go out, I have slacks, dress shirt on. I don't really wear a tie, and dress shoes. Gals, a nice blouse, maybe either some nice pants or a nice skirt and some comfortable shoes. But go out and you look professional, because remember, your first impression is the only one that you're really going to ever get. You don't get a second first impression. And they need to feel that you are a professional. There are so many people in this industry, as you all are so aware, there are not true professionals. There are part-timers that treat it as kind of more or less a shoe habit. But if you're going to be truly successful, you need to dress the part. So wear that when you go out there. Do not wear what I used to wear. Do not be that guy out there that had the belt buckle on or the unbuttoned shirt or anything like that. Look the part of a professional.
Greg, this is more than just going out and knocking on doors, I think. Like, when you kind of had that switch flip in your head, did you start getting up every day and wearing slacks and a button-up shirt as opposed to flip-flops and a beer buckle
every
belt?
Day. Every single day. I got up, I went out, and for the first time in my life, I went out and bought ties. I mean, I started having fun with my event. My uncle looked at me one time at Thanksgiving. I had jeans, a dress shirt, and a tie on at a family event. He looked at me and goes, "Greg, I feel like you're going to sell me something." I'm like, "I am. You want to buy a house?" But it was in my mind. It was in my body. It was in my essence. I was going to be a professional. I was going to treat this as a profession. And you know what? It made the difference mentally, because I then could go out there and hold myself, taller. I could smile longer. I could do my job because I mentally was a professional.
I think one of the things that's important to realize is dress to your audience, right? So you're not heading out there in an Armani suit and
no. LA, that would work.
Your audience, right? Okay.
You know, in LA and Beverly Hills, you know, you're going to dress it up a little bit more. I was coaching for another training a door knocking team in Florida, and I showed up the first day to the Century 21 office I was at, and I had my shirt and tie and my slacks and everything I just told you about on. And I mean, keep in mind, this is Florida, right? Everyone wears like Tommy Bahama out there, and all the agents were wearing, you know, short sleeve Tommy Bahama style clothing. They're all looking at me like I was just nuts. They're like, "What are you doing? Why are you dressed like this?" I said, "Well, we're going door knocking. I mean, this is, you know, it's professional. What are you talking about? What am I doing?" They're like, "You're going to be, you know, called out as a religious group." And I said, "No, whatever. I'm going to go door knocking." First door I get to, and so it happened. They're like, "Oh, are you with such and such church?" And I said, "Oh my gosh, you're so right. You have to dress for your audience."
All right, when to go?
When to go. Guys, there's a variety of different times on when you can go. This is my mindset. This is what I practice on my team, is that I don't do anything before 10 o'clock in the morning. Now, there's going to be different opinions on this, but this is the reasoning why I do this. Either the guy or the gal or whoever's at home, when, you know, they're going to get up, get the kids ready, get them out the door, get back, maybe go hit a workout or something, then come back, clean up, and get their day going. I've found that if you start a little earlier, and this is going to change in different markets, I understand that, but in our area, around 10 o'clock is good to start because now everyone's cleaned up and they're ready to talk to you. And I will run that from 10 all the way until 5 o'clock p.m. Now, some folks like to call after 5 because there's more people that are going to be home. What you see in front of you has been a chart that kind of gives you the best hours to go out and either do doors or do calls, basically, you know, cold outbound prospecting. I have found that there's no real difference in your percentage changes if you go, you know, to 1 o'clock or 10 o'clock. You're going to get, you know, roughly 20 to 30% of the people are going to be home. Now, if you want to step your game up and you want to do it fast and efficient, you're going to do Saturdays and you're going to do Sundays. Now, the times are going to change. So on Saturdays and Sundays, do not start before noon. I mean, how would you like it if you had someone stop by your house doing cold prospecting at 11 o'clock or 10:30 in the morning on a Saturday when you're still sleeping? Not going to go over so well. It's going to be like a lead balloon. So start at 12 and go until about 4 or 5. Now, Sundays is going to be your just absolute kingpin of prospecting in those manners, especially door knocking. Sundays are known for two things in the general public's mind. It's known for football, and it's known for real estate. Because think about it, as they were kids, they saw, and as adults, they saw the signs everywhere. So go out during those days. I found that I had one day I got up to 60% of the homes that I went to were very engaging and excited to talk to me because they're in the mindset. It was real estate talking time. But it's up to your lifestyle and kind of how you want to do it.
What are you going to bring?
This is the most important thing. I get asked this all the time. Greg, what am I going to bring? What am I going to bring? What am I going to say? All these other questions. And I can tell you right now, it's not rocket science, guys. What do most people want to know about the area that they're living in? It's what the homes are selling for. Just bring them a market update report. And there's different varieties. This is one. Kim is here in my office in Northern California, but this is just an idea of what to do. You have the active, the pendings, and the solds. And you show people that which way the market is trending. Now, that's a heck of an opportunity to start talking to them about, hey, wow, you know that your neighbor just sold for about $30,000 over list price. If we can get that for your house, would you guys consider being a seller? Then you start getting inside of their mind, and you start understanding what they're going with. And if nothing else, you leave this on their front door, and it's good market knowledge for them, and you have your brand and contact information. I mean, when Kim came into our coaching session together and she brought this in, I sat there. I didn't say a word. I totally got engrossed into it. I just started reading and looking at the list sell price. Now we could activate MLS right there, but I got so engrossed in this because it's real knowledge. It's simple, and that's what they want to know. But if you don't have this, go out there with a smile and a business card and just tell them who you are, what you're doing, and why you're there, and be nice to them and offer to help them. People will respond.
Greg, so this is obviously a really good piece, right? She's got some good marketing on there so that if they don't answer the door, she leaves it on the door. It's still kind of leading back to her. Tell me, what are some other things that people could consider walking up to the door with in hand?
Well, let's talk about, that's a great question. You could come out with gosh, you know, a business card. You could go out with some notepads. You could go out with letter openers. You could go out with a sheet just saying, hi, my name is Greg McDaniel. I'm a real estate agent in the area. I'm looking to grow my business. Have you been thinking about selling your house or anything else? I mean, it's not, it doesn't have to be something magical, because it won't be. It won't be at all. What you leave there is not important, you know, for the most sake. It's you becoming a human, not just a person on a photo. As soon as they get to know you, that's where all the difference takes place.
I think most people would, like, that what you have in your hand as you walk up there becomes, for the agent who's about to do it, a big part of the story, because you feel like you want to be bringing something of value, right? I think a lot of folks would say, look, I don't just want to go up and knock on the door and say, hey, I'm Bob Stewart, I'm a local real estate agent. Do you know anybody thinking of buying or selling, right? So it's that idea that whatever I'm bringing is going to add value to that person.
To their life.
But, yeah, you know, and I think about a lot of the mailers that people do, right? Like, and it's kind of the joke, right? Like, people mail out recipes or they mail out the calendars or things like that. But that might be something, right? If you've got like the local school sports calendar or something where most people would mail that out. I mean, that would be an opportunity to go out and knock on doors and actually deliver that thing to people.
Or go to your city or your chamber of commerce. Go to their calendars. Look at their events. Invite people to events. If you can create an event, Terry and Chris and I have always talked about it's one-stop many sales. And so if you can get people into an area, I mean, that's a great idea right there. And if you don't want to do that, if you're a little bit more shy, but you still want to bring something of value, what we've done here is we've approached multiple different restaurants and, you know, different local hangouts and said, hey, look, would you guys be willing to give us a discount if we were going to do all your printing and distribution for you? So we approached a local steakhouse, Forbes Mill Steakhouse here, and we said the same thing to them, and they said, absolutely, how about a $25 discount? We said, okay, we'll take that. So we printed up, I think, 750 of them or something like that, and we started handing them out like candy. We took them door knocking. We got a good conversation. You give it to them. You take them to open houses. When someone comes through, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Buyers, thank you so much for coming through. Come on back. Here's a $25 gift certificate for you for Forbes Mill. So hand those out. Have your brand on them, because now you just became sticky. You just became not the real estate agent hunting for deals and always taking and never giving back, but you just gave them something of value. The law of reciprocity is going to kick in here. They are mentally bound to you at this moment. They are going to feel so just driven to give back to you. They're going to feel guilty almost for not being able to tell you who's going to be making a move. And they'll apologize sometimes like, gosh, Greg, I'm so sorry. I really wish I was selling, but I'm just not. So, and you're sitting there going, it's really okay. It's just a gift card. But thank you. Just keep me in mind. But that's another thing to bring out there.
So what are we gonna say? What to say? The Ford technique. Do me a favor here, because when we were getting ready for this, you told me, share the story of the younger folks that have gotten their hands on it. Just share it for me real quick, because it had me kind of laughing.
Okay. Well, I've trained multiple different door knocking teams around the country, right? But our first one, my first go around on this, was a group of young guys, 4 of them, here for our team in the East Bay, and they are just out of high school. Okay, the summer between high school and college, and we went out and I taught them how to door knock and what to say, what to do, what to wear. We gave them outfits, the whole 9 yards, and we found out later these guys, basically dumped all the flyers and then went and watched movies all day. But this is what they independently came back and told me, every single one of them, over like the next couple of years as they filtered back from college. They said, hey, Greg, how are you, man? Great to see you. Hey, I want to tell you something. I'm like, what's going on? They're like, remember that Ford technique you taught us? I'm like, yeah, family, occupation, recreation, and dreams. What's going on? And they're like, Greg, I got to tell you, that one thing you taught me helped me get more dates with chicks and helped me get out of more problems with my professors and get extra, curricular activities so I can get higher grades than anything else. And I'm sitting there going, more dates, huh? Okay. Is that what they're calling it these days? But I've taught this to so many people, and they all come back and say that, because what this technique does, guys, this is the most powerful thing you'll ever learn. I mean, when it comes to scripting, because you're getting invested into your prospects' lives. Think about this. When you walk into a store and you're looking for a pair of pants or whatever, right? And the sales clerk comes up to you and says, hey, can I help you find something? You're like, no, I'm good. Thank you very much. Now that's how most people see us. We just want to sell them something. But when you ask about their lives, hey, you know, Bob, how's your wife doing, man? I haven't talked to you in a little while. You know, how are the kids doing? Is school going well? You know, how's the sports? Yeah, the kids are still doing hockey and soccer? Oh, that's amazing. Oh, they won. See what I'm doing there? I'm asking questions about them. And then you transition very easily into, you know what? Yeah. My wife and I were doing fantastic. You know, I just got a new job. How's your job, by the way? You still with ABC Company? No, you changed. Really? What spawned that? No kidding. Tell me more about that. You know, see, I'm asking to get into their lives, and as you do this, they're gonna care about you because you care about them, and that is where the critical tipping point takes place. They have to know that you care about them before they will even start to care about you. And you don't have to do forward in any particular order. That's where a lot of other people kind of, you know, get caught up. So what if you're talking to someone and they're talking about the baseball game they just went to? Well, start with recreation. Hey, you guys go to a lot of games. And then just let the conversation go. It will go. And if you can't get someone to talk when you do these, you know, family, occupation, recreation, and dream before technique, move on. I mean, this you can get a doorknob of a human being to talk to you on this thing. It is an amazing process.
So give me an example. So I walk up to the door, and I'd like you to maybe do this for me, right? Like act like you're walking up to the door. I've got the you know, something I'm bringing, but show me what's the transition from the introduction, and maybe you can even just give an introduction. Like, what does it sound like when the person answers the door? First off, give me that. Like, you're introducing yourself, you're letting them know why you're there and who you are, but let me hear what that sounds like.
Not a problem. So, knock, 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 you open the door. Oh, hi. Good afternoon. My name is Greg McDaniel. I'm a real estate agent here in the area with Rockcliff Realtors. You know, the reason why I'm coming by today is that, you know, we have a new open house that we're going to be having at 123 Main Street over here on Sunday, and I just wanted to come by and personally invite you guys to the open house. We're going to be also doing it on Thursday. If you can't make Sunday, we have free food on Thursday, too. And then you start, and then that's my intro, and then we start talking to them. Now, when you go up to the door, I personally like to...
Greg, at that point, do you just shut up? Like, do you let them bond and say, oh, hey, thanks, or like, okay.
Absolutely. You need to let them talk. You can't just be talking at them. You need to be talking with them because they'll engage with you. I guarantee you, because right then, if you do a just listed, a just sold, you know, open house or something like that, when you go out door knocking, you know, it's going to be very easy. It's going to be soft. They're not going to feel pressure to tell you to get off their front porch. But the trick is, and this is a little magic trick that I've learned over the years, you know, when I did my full year of only door knocking, is that I would start wanting to get more conversation. So I'd notice something about the house or the lawn or a car or something, like maybe the front door, the windows, the front porch, the grass, a plant, the pavers in the yard, whatever. Something that I really liked. And then I would compliment them on it. Say, you know what, Mr. Smith, you know, thanks for your time. You know, where'd you get this door? I mean, that's a gorgeous door. Oh, well, I picked it up at blank, blank, blank. Okay. Well, hey, you know what? You know, tell me, can I access it? Can I get it to another client of mine? Can I have them come by and take a picture of it? You know, as soon as you compliment someone on their house, you just complimented them. You complimented their style. And that, again, gets you into the door with them because now they like you. You just said, hey, you have great taste. And you let these conversations, like I said, flow. Everyone's going to be different. Don't try to fit them into a box. Just go out there, breathe, relax, and enjoy the conversations with another person at the front door.
When you let's say you're just going door knocking, you're bringing a handout like we saw from the lady earlier. You don't have an open house or a just listed or a just sold or something like that. You're really just, and let's say you're even getting started in your farm. What's your end goal? Like, what would you hope to get them to say, or what are you angling for as you stand on that doorstep?
I'm angling, obviously, I mean, like we all are. We're angling for to set an appointment to get in there and sell their house, or to get a referral from them about a neighbor, or to, you know, find out that they are not going to be moving, but they're trying to buy some investment properties. I mean, you want to get some sort of a buying or selling action at these doors, but you know, a lot of times it's not going to happen maybe on that first day. It's going to take you coming back a couple of times, you know, until that rapport, that trust is built up. You know, if you're brand new in the business and you're looking to get out on the doors and just go, this is what you say when you get to the door. You be honest. You do not blow smoke up their skirt, because they will see that coming, and your the trust they have or would have had in you is now gone. You say this: "Hi, my name is Greg McDaniel. I work for Rockcliff Realtors here in town. You know, the reason why I'm stopping by today is because, you know what, we are looking for more inventory. We're trying to help more families move into the neighborhood, and I was wondering, by any chance, if you folks might be thinking of making a move this year." And that is where you start. And then you break into the Ford. Or you go into some of the old scripts, you know, that Mike Ferry has, you know, "No, we're not going to be making a move." "Really? Okay. Well, hey, you know, just out of curiosity, you know, where'd you guys move from?" And they say, "Well, you know, for us it'd be like maybe the Peninsula or San Francisco." "No kidding, that's fantastic. So why'd you guys move over here? Was it, you know, the schools or the weather, or what was it?" And then they joke around, you play with it, and you know what? Well, also you want to kind of say, "Gosh, how long have you guys lived here?" "Well, 10 years. "Wow, no kidding, that's excellent. Well, you know what, hey, the biggest problem we're having is it's such a great area, no one's making a move." But, you know, if you were to move, would you move in town or would you guys move out of town? And you're just trying to pull any kind of information out of these folks, anything that would spur a comment. So if they start smiling and liking you, they're going to start telling you more, right? Like any of us when we get into relationships we trust. And as soon as they start liking you, they'll start telling you stuff. But one of the most powerful techniques, now we've dubbed it the carousel, okay? And this is what you do. Once that rapport is built and you're having a good time, you're chattering and bantering back and forth, what you do is since you're facing them, they're facing out of their front door, you go up to one of their sides, you turn around and you face out to the street like they're looking. Then you take your finger and you point to all the houses around you and you say, "Well, gosh, Mr. Smith, I know you're not making a move, and I wouldn't either. This house is gorgeous. But what about your neighbors?" And you say, "What about them? What 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 about them?" And they will now open up and they will tell you everything about the neighborhood. Well, you know, that's a young couple. They work a lot. There's an older couple. They're, you know, Bob and Sue, they've been there since the dawn of time. They're not going to be making a move. That couple, if you can make them move, man, all they do is fight and a dog barks. We'd be ecstatic if they move. But don't tell them I told you. You know, the other one, you know, we haven't seen them around. I think they're going to a foreclosure. I mean, you hear some things you don't want to hear. I swear to God, you don't want to hear it, but you do. You know, you don't want to hear about people fighting in divorces. That's never a good topic. But you know, you get the intel. Now you know what's happening. So now you can speak with knowledge. Now the next house you go to, you know, "Hi, Mr. Smith. You know, you have a good conversation. You do your intro. You know, I was just talking to a young couple down there. I know they're not around a lot. You know, do you guys know them? Do you guys know them very well?" And now they're gonna, "Oh, you mean John and Sue?" Yeah, John and Sue." No, we don't see them either." No. And you just let the conversation go. They'll tell you more and more and more about it. It's truly the most powerful thing.
So we've mentioned already a couple of these things, right? The reasons to knock, the reasons to get out there and do this. And it's not just, hey, I want to start farming an area, right? There's
Right.
all kinds of reasons that you might get out. Give us some of those reasons, and some of them you've already mentioned, but give them to us again.
You know, reasons to knock. Let's see here. Just listed, just sold, open houses. I'm trying to build my brand. I have a buyer looking in the area. Those are some of the, you know, the top level ones. But this is the trick. Well, you're probably sitting in your seat going, "Well, I'm just starting out. I don't have any listings." That's fine. Go out and door knock on every single sold property in your area. It doesn't matter if it's yours. All you're doing is bringing good, valuable information to these homeowners who don't know what you know. They don't have access to you. So if you say, "Hey, John, Mr. and Mrs., you know, so-and-so, my name is Greg McDaniel. I work with Rockcliff Realtors in the area. Hey, I want to stop by and let you know that your neighbor over at 456 Maple just sold." "Yeah, I know. It's amazing how fast they sell these days." "Yeah, it sold for overpriced. You know, the one thing, you know, only one family was able to get in there. We have, you know, 7 others, you know, that missed out. Have you guys been thinking about maybe selling, or know anyone else who might be?" It's showing success, even if it's not yours, because the home sold, and now you're an aggressive, you know, proactive agent that's out there trying to better their lives and bring more good young families into the area. Those are some of the reasons, and those are the easiest ways to get out there and do the doors. I mean, there's probably about 1,000 other ways to go door knocking, but you know, those are the ones that work for us the best.
All right, so track your results, and you had mentioned when we were setting this up, you said, "Man, for you, Greg, this is the most important part of this is that you know what's happening when you get out there and knock on doors." So you wanted to share with everybody your actual kind of spreadsheet that you use. This is your calling sheet, your door knocking sheet that you use to get out there and do this. So here it is. Greg said we could share this. One of the things Greg wanted to make sure everybody understood is that today is now, what, the 28th? And he's like, hey, man, should I get you like an updated one? I don't want everybody to think that I've been slacking off for the last week. So Greg sent me this last week, everybody. I'll clear Greg there. He's got an updated one. I'm sure he has it updated through yesterday. Or
I do.
Okay. So,
all right. So, guys, I want to point this out to you. My father and Chris, we're all trackers. We track everything we can, because if you can't track it, you can't, monetize it, right? And don't know what your value is. And that's where a lot of people fall off the wagon when it comes to prospecting, is they don't know their true value. So you'll start on the left-hand side, and we'll work to the right, and I'll show you how this works, and we'll scroll down to the bottom. So over on the left-hand side, who? You identify who went out there and what date you went out there and where you went. So you'll see Mojo calls, and you'll see calls into the 26 and into the 96. These are just codes that I give myself to know where I called into the zip codes. Then I show you the hours of how many hours I spent on the calls. In the last couple of years, I've actually spent I pulled the number, a little over 700 hours on the dialer calling out. So it adds up pretty quickly. Next column over, attempts. How many calls did I attempt that day? And you see kind of right where the cursor is on line 16, and you see in the CMA appointments where it goes from 2 and then 1, 1, 1, 1, 1 all the way down. These are my past clients. These are my past leads that I followed up with. So you can see how powerful those were. Like I said, I'm setting an appointment every single day, but I'm tracking all this stuff too. So I figure out here are my number of appointments. Next column over is the buy or sell side. So maybe you didn't ask for a CMA, but they might be buying or selling down the road. Now you see that huge gap there where I had got all the CMAs, so nothing runs fluidly. I mean, it's not going to be consistent every single day. It's a numbers game. You have to go so many no's to get a yes, and how many yeses to get a client, and so on and so forth. But you'll see that some days I get 0, some days I get 5, some days I get 1. But it's staying consistent and persistent with this, and that is where the magic truly happens. Now let's talk this. We're putting the numbers in. We're getting all this, all these leads. Bob, let's go down to the bottom really quickly. What am I worth when I'm out there? Okay. Now, on the left-hand side, you're going to see a number 67,420. With the current numbers in the spreadsheet, if I keep those numbers up, those are how many attempts I'm going to do every year. Now, one line down is 6,715. That is going to be the total of people that I'm going to go face-to-face with, either on the phone or on the doors. Now, I'm also going to go down, and I'm going to have a 608 leads. If all of my numbers stay consistent to what I already have in there, that's how many people I'm going to have the opportunity of speaking with. Now, in the middle, you see the red words that say conversion factor. Now, we put 5%. In case you're just the worst converter on the planet Earth, we took it down to the lowest common denominator. But on the right-hand side, just over to where the cursor is, you see every lead that is currently being generated is worth $8 to me. Every door I go to is $11. Every person I speak to, even if they don't do anything, is worth $113. Every minute worth $19. Every hour is worth $1,125, and every lead is worth $12.50. You go down slightly, and you'll see the potential revenue for the year. If I keep this up, there's a good chance I'll make between $700,000 and $800,000. But it's also based upon my pricing, my commission splits, and how many days and how many hours I'm willing to commit to my future success. So Bob, take your scroll down slightly, and you're going to see prospecting hours per day and prospecting hours per week. They're going to be in red. There you are. Now let's take that prospecting per week and change that from a 5 to a 6. Now watch the number on the top where it said 759 before. $900,000 by adding one more day in to do it for 3 hours. That can motivate you. So you go back, let's go back to 2. There you go, 303,000. It's all dependent about how committed you are to grind this out, what level of success you want. And that's where we started back on the farm. What do you want out of your farm? You say, you know what, I'm going to do 5 days, but I can only do 1 hour a day. Bob, let's change up, per hour and do it to 1. Your number goes to 253,000. Now, this is in the marketplace of ours that we're about $1 million, on sales. So, Bob, let's change that to 500,000. It's to your left. It's over to your left there, up above the two. There you go. Let's change it to 500,000. Now we're making $126,000 just by going out and knocking and talking to people for 1 hour a day, 5 days a week. That cannot be that hard to make over 100 grand. I mean, it really can't be. It also says this: if you line 184 all the way to the right-hand side, it says that out of the 52 weeks, we're going to do 45. So I mean, change it to let's do 47 or 50 or something like that. Take 2 weeks off vacation. Boom, your numbers jump slightly. So it all comes down to how many days and how many hours you're going to want to be out there. And this is just I'm just using this as an example. I give this to all my students, and it opens their eyes to what their true value is. And I highly recommend you guys start tracking everything when you're out on the doors.
Okay, so that's door knocking. If you guys want to dive deeper, because like I said, Greg could do 3, 4, or 5 hours on door knocking. He does that. He does it on YouTube. If you go to YouTube and search Greg McDaniel door knocking, there is a series of videos. This is our fine presenter here, Greg. He's nice and dressed up in his buttoned-up shirt. You can watch these videos where he just dives deep into a lot of these subjects that we've spent 5 or 10 minutes on. He really goes in and gives you the mechanics and the specifics. And we only have an hour here today. And we're getting...
Bob, actually, I did a interview. I believe you're going to be interviewed as well on superagentslive.com. My interview just came out today. So go to superagentslive.com, and you can hear another interview. It won't cover what Bob and I are going to cover in this interview, in this webinar, and the next one, but it will give you a nice little filler between our next webinar.
Superagentslive.com. I'm getting interviewed on there coming up, so go check that place out. He's a good guy. Okay, so let's talk for a little bit about calling here. We got about 20 minutes left here, 15 minutes. Let's get into calling a little bit. When to call. So, I mean, it would make sense that if people are home when you go there and knock on the door, they're probably going to be home when you pick the phone up and call them. So we saw this already. Seems like a good plan again.
Yeah, you want to do, typically, like we said, you want to do it anywhere between, 10 a.m. and 5 p.m. A lot of times people call afterwards, but they're in the dinner hour again. Just be courteous, you guys. I mean, a lot of people are going to, they want to be treated like you'd want to be treated. So that's what we want to, represent here, and just kind of hammer home that, call when you would pick up the phone.
That's one of the things that you mentioned to me when we were getting ready for this call, Greg. You said, that 5 to 6 and 7, that range in there, even though that this would indicate that that's a pretty good time to do it, you said for you personally, you're not a big fan of the 5, 6, 7 hour because that's when you're eating dinner. So It wouldn't make sense for you to go out and disturb other folks who are eating dinner.
Yeah, it's just not my style. But again, I said from the beginning, don't do exactly what I do. Make it and tailor it to your lifestyle and what you feel comfortable doing. Because if you don't feel comfortable doing it, you're not going to do it. So if you like that time, go for it. Okay,
so we looked at your little tracking sheet there, and you had some pretty stellar number of calls made in a given hour or a given day. How the heck are you making 100+ calls in an hour or 500 calls in a day?
It's actually so much easier than what you actually think. So I use a system called Mojo. Mojo Selling Solutions.
And just so you guys know, we don't get anything from Mojo. They're not asking to be on this webinar. They probably don't even know that we're talking about them right now. This is just what Greg uses.
Yeah, nobody. Yeah, we don't get anything from this. I'm just such a huge advocate of it because it's transformed my business. It's a computer system that you can, with our new platform, you log into, and then you can map out farms that you want to call in. So up to 2,000 numbers or homes in each farm. There's an infinite amount of farms that you can do for the areas that you market to. So it's a triple line dialer. So you're dialing 3 lines at any given time. So that means you're 3 times more effective. I have students of mine that did the single line because they do offer a single line, and they finally switched over to the triple line, and they're like, it's so much more effective. So how this works: 3 lines pull up. You're waiting in silence. You don't hear any ringtones or anything else. All of a sudden, someone picks up. Boom. Hi, my name is Greg, and I go on to my script. Now, let's say someone picks up a fraction of a second later, right? There is a pre-recorded message in my voice, well, for me, obviously, saying this. Hello? 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 I'm sorry, I can't hear you. Let me call you right back. So the system will then remember what number the callback message was left for. And once my conversation is done and the 3rd line stops ringing, that will call that line back directly so you don't miss anybody. Now, doing this system, you can call in and you can leave as many different types of voicemails as you want. You can also call from any phone and any computer anywhere in the world. So you don't have to be tied to a desk anywhere. You can be sitting on the beach with a headset on and doing your prospecting very easily. I used to work from home a lot, and I used to sit with her with my cell phone and just make calls, until I was blue in the face. So once you start getting these calls and you're rolling through them, and you're like, okay, I have an upcoming listing that I want to promote. Great. Map out an areas around that house and introduce a new property, or you just sold property, or something like that. People are very receptive to that, and you'll go through a ton of numbers very quickly. Also, upload any CSV lists. You can upload your database. You can upload the people that you want to, the people you want to go out and hang out with, like have your annual client party. Upload them and touch base with them. If you wanted to do referrals to maybe lenders, upload a bunch of lenders' numbers and call through and talk about how you can do more business with them. It's just a way to become incredibly effective in a very short amount of time and talk to more people than you could ever do before. I averaged last year, it was very common to do 500 calls a day. I would do 250 calls in the morning, take a break, do 250 calls in the afternoon. Now, that's not normal. Trust me. I have a lot of people telling me that I'm a mutant on this stuff.
Greg, just real quick, when you look at these percentages here, like, 7% of the people answer the phone at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, you start to realize very quickly how, each time you pick up the phone and you call and nobody answers, I mean, that's, 30 seconds to a minute that you've wasted? But this allows you to essentially just eliminate all of those calls where nobody answers.
Exactly, because you don't have to leave a voicemail for them. You pre-record a voicemail, so when the answering machine comes on, you press a button, bam, it starts saying off a voicemail while you're able to talk on the other 1 to 2 lines that are still ringing. So you really waste no time on these calling systems. And it's one of my absolute favorite things to do. I mean, call me weird, call me sick, but I enjoy it. So,
you know what? To that end, I think the reason you enjoy it is because you track it, and every time somebody picks up the phone, that added value to your business.
It is,
and
exactly.
If you don't know that, then and that person that picks up the phone doesn't buy or sell a house with you or give you a referral to somebody that's going to buy or sell a house, then in a lot of people's mind, that becomes that was a bad phone call, right? But you know that because you track it so heavily, every time I talk to somebody, that's worth something.
It's worth something, and maybe they don't give you anything, but maybe you had a good conversation with someone, and maybe you got inside information, like maybe they told you about a neighbor that's selling, or maybe they're going to have a friend call you because they're thinking about buying an investment property, or maybe you were able to just bring value to their lives, such as I talked to a lady the other day, and her husband has Alzheimer's and dementia, and so well, that's kind of the same thing. I mean, Alzheimer's and what's the other degenerative disease he had? Anyways. He's having a really rough time. So one of my good friends works in a hospice and senior care facilities that are come out to houses. So I put them together. I brought value to her life, and you should have seen her. She was almost crying when I brought her the name and phone number of these people because she had nowhere to turn. You can leverage your associations with people to bring value to people's lives, and once you do that, again, the law of reciprocity kicks in, and all of a sudden, you just became someone of importance to their lives. So don't always try to get the sale. You will. They will bring it to you, but bring value to their lives first and foremost.
So what do you say? Why do you call?
This is what I say. And when I do this script, everything in this script is intentional. I intentionally stutter. I intentionally kind of, I want it to sound like you're not my 320th call that day, okay? It's, hello? Oh, hi. Hey, my name is Greg McDaniel. I'm a local realtor here in the area with Rockcliff Realtors. I'm doing some calls personally into the neighborhoods. The reason why is the fact that, right now in town we only have about 52 homes that are for sale. And I have 3 different buyers. Oh, by the way, if you don't have buyers, don't use this script. They will call you out on it. But I do have buyers, so I say this. I have 3 different buyers looking to buy. And, I was just wondering if you guys might be thinking of selling anytime in the near future, or you just might be interested in getting a professional market update evaluation on your home. Now, the way my voice has to be my ambassador. okay? 50% of communication is done in body language, and they can't see me and I can't see them. They can't see that I'm a nice guy with a big smile on my face. It's all about the tone. So be soft, be kind, be gentle with them. But, you know, also if they're abrasive and abrupt, don't let yourself get walked all over. I do a lot of the same things on doors. I do, hi, you know, we have an open house, we have buyers, you know, we had just sold, just listed, and again, they just start opening up and talking to you. Now, the reasons to call, if you want to call your past clients, it could be anything from, hey, I was driving past your house, wanted to pick up the phone and talk to you, or you popped in my mind the other day, or gosh, I saw, you know, something that reminded me of you. Anything to get on the line with them. That's all it takes.
There is, you guys, when we have the recording of this call, and we're going to send, everybody will get a copy of the recording, there is a handout that Greg gave me that I'm going to allow you guys to download that is something that your dad, right, Greg, has put together over 40 years that is probably, for me, one of the best lists I've ever seen of reasons to call. And so, I mean, there is everything on there from, you know, I saw your kids at the soccer game last week, all the way down to, like, we just sold a property in your neighborhood. But there's all these really, really great reasons to call. So you're going to be able to download that as a part of the recording. So keep your eyes open for that. I mean, like I said, this is something that your father's put together over 40 years in the business, and it's just really, really good.
Oh, I have it pinned up next to my desk. I use it all the time. I thumb through it just to, you know, just why not change up the script, beta test it, see what happens next. You might find a winning combination there.
I know he has it pinned up next to his desk because when we were preparing for this last week, he actually took down what he had pinned up, he scanned it, and he sent it to me. So you guys are going to get, like, the copy you'll get is the one that hangs on Greg's wall right in front of his computer there as he's making his 300 calls today. How do you follow up on a good call, or even how would you follow up on a good, you know, door knocking conversation that you had with somebody? What do you do in that scenario?
We do handwritten notes. We have customized thank you cards and customized return labels. What we try to do is we try to brand ourselves as many times as we can with these people. But the most important thing is that you took the time to handwrite a letter to someone. In our day and age, that just does not happen a lot. So if you talk to somebody and say, hey, you know, Bob, it was fantastic to talk to you today. Thanks for your time. I wish you all the best with that, with restoring that vehicle. You know, I know you don't buy and sell every day, but when you do, please keep me in mind. And that's how you close it. You don't ask for the business. You put your card in there, you close it up, you seal it, and you send it off, and you hand address it. I have gotten thank you notes for my thank you notes, if that makes sense.
Right.
It's very powerful, and it's very personal, and it's something that you guys need to put back into your business. If you don't have the money, or you don't have anything built up right now for custom cards, go out and talk to your brokerage. I bet you they have some blank cards you can use with their logo on it. Or if they don't have that, go down to the store and pick up some generic ones and just say thank you on them. It's not about what's on it. It's about the action you took to make it personal. And though that will be the differing between success and non-success.
How do you handle this guy right here? You come across him every time you go out there. You come across this guy, right? I mean, he's not at every door, and he's not at the other end of every phone, and I think this guy is probably the guy that scares a lot of people from doing this thing, right? They tried it one time, and they got out there, and this guy was at the third door they knocked on. They got back in their car, they drove home, and they haven't been back out knocking on doors since. Like, how do you handle this guy?
You know what? You handle him with grace and class. You know, if someone just starts chewing you down and just saying, God, you're the worst human being on planet Earth, how dare you call me, I'm on the do not call list, you simply go this. You know what? I am so sorry. I did not intend to bother you. What I can do is I'll put you on my do not call list so I don't ever bother you again. Would that be fair? And when you diffuse a situation like that, they would automatically open up and say, well, that'd be fine. Is there anything else I can do to help you today, sir? Just get off my phone. Okay? Well, gosh, I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. Yeah, whatever. You know what? But you didn't fight back. You stayed dispassionate about the situation because he's trying to rally you up. I mean, who knows? Maybe he stubbed his toe when he got up in the morning. You know, maybe he spilled his cereal on his brand new suit, or who knows? you're just the guy or gal that's getting the beating because he's in a bad mood. I bet you anything when you call him back the next time, if you call him back another time, if you didn't put him on the do not call list, he's going to be a different person. So don't shy away from these people. Everyone has bad days. You do too. So do I. So, you know, just stay with it, stay consistent, stay persistent, and you will see success. And so
how do they do that, right? I mean, because you said it in the beginning, this is hard, this is a grind, like picking up the phone, you know, especially if you didn't have the Mojo Sells deal and you're literally just picking up the phone over and over again. So talk to me for a second about, like, when you're doing the phone stuff, what do you kind of have going on around you to help you to make sure it doesn't become a grind?
For me, what I do is I split my screen. I put my caller on one side of the screen. I put, you know, the internet on the other. And you know what? I do research. Anything that I've kind of just pops in my mind. I'm like, oh, it's, you know, weekend events in San Francisco. Boop, find that out. Or jump onto Facebook, jump onto Pinterest, jump onto Twitter. You know, watch the MLS. Know exactly what's going on in the MLS so you can, you know, speak intelligently to people when they're asking you, gosh, you know, well, Greg, what about the house over at blank, 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 blank? You pull it up, boom. You're like, oh, well, you actually, you know what? It went pending 3 days ago, and it was only on the market for 4 days. Oh, yeah, we saw that. You know, sign was up, and then the pending sign was on. So you just speak with knowledge. Have your MLS up. You know, if you're there dialing, just, you know, with your hands, you know, have some music going. You know, if you like, I mean, I like country music, right? I mean, or some rock or whatever else, but just keep your mind moving. Always have something so it's not dead silent and you're going, my God, this is the most boring thing I've ever done in my life. That's how I personally do it.
What about when you're out there knocking on doors and you've been to your 20th door of the day and, man, there hasn't been anybody to bite yet, and you're just thinking, you know, I know I wanted to do 40 doors today, but I'd rather be at home watching Oprah. Like, what's your mindset there to kind of overcome that grind? Is it the fact that, you know, you're tracking your stuff so well, you know that you're just going to get that guy's going to be in those next 20 doors, or kind of, what is your mindset there?
That comes down to, again, well, exactly, tracking. I mean, there's something that you need to understand. When you're out door knocking, and this is why you track stuff, you say, okay, how many doors does it take to get a prospect? And how many prospects does it take for me to get a, you know, committed client? And how many clients does it take for me to get a contract? Now, once you work this thing backwards, and you understand, okay, I have to do 140 doors to get one prospect. It takes 7 prospects to get one client, and, you know, 3 clients to get a contract. Well, you just built a very active pipeline, but you know your numbers. So if you're at, you're doing 50 doors a day, right? Well, it's going to take you roughly 3 days to get a client. So every 6 days, 2 clients a week. Okay, that works. You'll fill that pipeline very, very quickly. So that's why I'm always out there just knowing, okay, you know, I'm getting closer, but I also just set a goal. I'm like, I'm going to do 50 doors. I'm going to do 100 doors. I'm going to do whatever. I have a girl in my in one of my classes, just moved up from Southern California, from Northern California, doesn't know a soul, very nice young lady, and she listened to exactly what I said. I said, go out and do 100 doors, and then come back in and do 100 calls. She did that. In 3 weeks, she had 14 leads, 7 clients, and was writing contracts for an investor, which was the last door that she went to that day. She didn't want to do it. She'd heard no all day, went to the door, talked to the guy. He was an active investor. His agent wasn't calling him back. So she's like, well, let's talk. They've written multiple contracts, and I believe they're in contract now. So that's what it, just keep going. You're going to find these people. They're out there.
Awesome. Awesome. Hey, you guys, it's Friday. That means you got a big weekend of real estate ahead of you. On behalf of Greg, who I just can't thank enough, and Carrie and Alicia, who are always behind the scenes, my name's Bob Stewart here at Active Rain University. Bye-bye, everybody.